Hello everyone and welcome to yet another live coding and chill. I'm your host Johnny. Hope you are having amazing weeks, amazing Fridays, amazing lives. Having a great time here. Delighted to be here. Today we'll be doing image uploads with SvelteKit and image optimization. Images are huge, critical, probably the number one reason your core web vitals aren't up to snuff, or other people's core web vitals aren't up to snuff because you're awesome and you're definitely in the know of how to handle images very, very well. So today we'll keep working on the Goblin app. Last time we created a form for people that are logged in already to be able to submit their own loot items, but don't let that deter you. Image optimization and image uploads can be a part of any app. If you have user accounts, maybe you have avatar systems, that sort of thing. It's a common example. So don't be deterred by this being part 10 of this huge app. You can probably drop into this episode and just see what we're doing for image uploads if that's all you care about, what you want to learn today. Essentially, we'll have the one form we had before to edit any one of these items that we've created, and we'll be adding just one more element. A file input would be selecting a file from our desktop and then sending that to the server and then doing some cool stuff with Cloudinary, which is the CDN of choice. Hello Milos in the chat. How are you doing? I have remembered to set up your tool today for the stream, and seeing you in the chat also reminded me to actually set the time to now, which can I do easily in Notion? I guess not. I guess I can't simply set to now. Maybe if I delete. Almost. Almost there. So people in the chat, people in the comments often ask for me to put timestamps, and I do when I have the time. But Milos very kindly created this little Notion plugin tool workflow that supposedly, when I actually click the agenda items here, is gonna add a YouTube timestamp I can then copy paste in the description. So I can have something rough going with timestamps and chapters right at the end of the episode, because that's important, and that's definitely not the time after doing like a long stream. It's not the time for me to listen to myself talk for yet another 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. So I really appreciate the help with this little project. Maybe we'll take a break with Goblin at some point and create a proper SvelteKit app for an integration that syncs with your YouTube account, finds your live stream videos, and then it knows when you went live. You can show UI for the list items. I don't know, I may be the only person in the world that would be using this, which is why I haven't shown something like this already. But then it has the YouTube integration, it has Svelte 5 support. Maybe I can throw in SAD-CN, Shadokan, that people ask me about. So maybe I can work it in. We'll see. In any case, I appreciate having this to start with. So today, image uploads for sure. Even if it's your first episode, it may make sense to find out what to do with image uploads and then go back to the playlist if you're interested in how the whole app was created. And as always, all of this code is available if you have Johnnify Premium. It's a GitHub organization with exclusive access to these repos that I show in the streams. I still do open source stuff as well, but a lot of this code that I keep maintaining is part of Johnnify Premium. It's also a way to show that you support the streams. But I'll talk about the value on Tuesdays. We do these Tuesdays and Fridays. On Tuesdays, my friends made me promise to actually promote this further. For now, just a quick link will do. Many links in the description. Go and click around Goblin itself. You'll be able to try image uploads if all has gone well. If all has gone well today. The plan for uploading the images is going to be using Cloudinary. So one of the popular CDNs for images, there is maybe the most popular bucket solution for anything is Amazon S3, but that one doesn't do the image optimization in itself. It's probably the cheapest one, but It's not the easiest one to set up because you have to set up your own logic to do the image transforms there. We may do it in a next episode, but we'll see. It's one of those things where I think they are in the plan. People may be interested, but let me know if you want to see an S3 solution, the cheapest possible way to have something great for you. There are lots of CDNs like Cloudinary, and I have some links in the description. We may be using Amazon S3 in the future, but not today. So, and because we are deploying to Vercel, and Vercel doesn't have a file system, our SvelteKit app is not able to write anything in the file system directly. It needs to work with a third-party provider like Cloudinary, a CDN like that, to store the image uploads. If we were using Supabase, for example, then we'd also have a storage bucket because they have it in their all-in-one solution. But we're using Turso, which is an SQLite database, and that's it. It doesn't have anything extra for storage. We need to figure out our own storage. If we were using Next.js or Astro or even Next, then we'd be able to use Vercel's own image optimization and image hosting. They make a lot of money of this because it is a very important problem to solve. We'll talk about it in further detail later as well. Great service. Amazingly, they still don't offer it with SvelteKit, which I keep thinking their next big conference, either the next big Svelte conference or the next big Vercel conference, that will say image optimization first class in SvelteKit, but it hasn't happened yet. I'm very surprised. So time to figure out how to do it ourselves. We'll also talk about or show libraries that help us work with images in the end, like Unpick Svelte, or even Cloudinary has its own library that has components like the image element that just fetches the right images from the Cloudinary CDN, or even has an upload button and an upload widget. So if you just want to upload some images, you don't really care about the UI, this is what you get. It's gonna take you less time, but this is what you get. It looks decent, it has the drag and drop, it's not bad. Users recognizing it, it has integration with like other libraries as well, other popular image solutions. So, you know, you can do worse things. Maybe the unique selling point of your app is not the image uploads, it's not the slick looks, so you can just drop this in. But the idea with all of these streams is not necessarily to avoid using libraries, but it is to explain how things work behind the scenes so you can make a better educated decision in the future and get a general better understanding of how things work. Because if you only use third-party tools without knowing how they work, if it's all magic, then it will be hard to adapt when APIs change, when those products stop being supported, that sort of thing. Hello in the chat as well. Cloudflare images is another popular one as well. Many solutions for the CDN and images issue because it's huge. I do have a short video about not using Google fonts in production, web fonts in production. You should inline them. Essentially, I talk about the core web vitals and how that may affect the user experience and the SEO as well. I say that fonts are the #1 tip you get from a consultancy when you tell them, I want to improve my SEO and the UX and all of that, because it's the highest impact and easiest to solve. So fonts, see this video if you haven't, and then you'll be able to solve it in like 2 minutes. But the most impactful one is if your images are not optimized, then you're gonna harm all your core web vitals, even cumulative layout shift, which you don't need to optimize the images for, just your code. Anyway, the way you handle images is very important for core web vitals, but the effort it takes to serve optimized images is larger than just doing the the font solution I mentioned in the video here. That's why I did a short video on this and not yet image optimization. We'll try to figure out some stuff today and see, maybe there is a video on this coming in the future. So I did manage to talk about this. I did just talk about core web vitals. 7 minutes. And I am about to talk about what we are doing so far in Goblin. You may visit like the error page and a few other pages that we have. We are serving optimized images. Here we've shown how this happens in the Paulina Pappel's portfolio project as well, but it's only for images that we have in our version control. Only images that are available to us on build time. There is this library called sveltejs enhanced-img. We used that one for images that are in our version control. We used it kind of like we've set it up. We used it like this. You can find this episode, but you cannot use this with a dynamic image with a URL that you don't know that image is going to exist. You cannot commit this to your version control. We're talking about images that are going to be uploaded by your users. They won't stay in your GitHub repo. They're going to be somewhere else. So that's why we need a third-party solution for this, a different solution to this than this library here. SvelteKit does have some documentation for you to read as well, including links to libraries that we are going to use later on in the project and some general tips as well. But I think this means that we'll just move on to actually doing the UI. But first, let's do the cool thing. A few episodes ago, we did the login flow, and of course, now live for the first time today, I'm gonna see if the production login flow actually works. Great, it does work. Amazing. Stream can go on. No need to debug this. No need for me to be in shambles about having non-working code. And again, Johnnify Premium to find this code and more. All right. So, enough talkie. Time for coding. Let's make a better rhyme for this. Talkie time is over. Coding time is on. It's coding time. We're gonna code all over this problem. So VS Code, we've seen this before. We've created the Speed Force one braces in the previous episode, and we have this huge form. Again, if you don't care about what's in the previous episode on how we created this, doesn't really matter. We'll only focus about having one more extra input, which is going to be our file input, and that's the thing that we'll be focusing on. Image specific. We just need to find this page, which is loot ID, the ID of this specific loot item. And we have the loot form as well. So here we can put in anything. We just want to put one more input for the preview image, thumbnail image. What should we call it? Should we put it in the end? I'll just put it right after the name. And for easiness, we're going to be using Daisy UI for this. So I think I have a link here, and I am going to use this one, for example. Yoink this one. Maybe I can just yoink the name input. And then paste this in. There we go. And this input, we're not going to make it required. We're going to name it image, I guess. Why not? The type is going to be file. And we can make it as wide as possible. Does it become ridiculously wide? Not really. Looks fine. Looks good. Looks awesome. So we click this and we get the native OS file system. We get Finder here on a Mac. We can select an image, we can put it there, and then nothing happens, but something may happen when we click save to submit the form. Is there anything else? Since we gave it the name image, it's gonna be submitted from the form as to be found with the image property. But we can also accept only a specific type of files, only specific extensions. So if you didn't want to do any image optimization yourself, you could just say, I only accept JPEGs, or maybe JPEGs and PNGs, and then even have some JavaScript to check the file size and say only up to like 0.5 MB needs to be JPEG. You worry about the image optimization. And even then, like WebP or AVEF format are going to be even more optimized. So users just want to drag and drop and select whatever file they have available. If it's going to be like a TIFF that's like 15 megabytes, they're going to use that one. They don't really care. And if you block them from using it, maybe they won't be happy. Like if they have the other format available, they're going to use it, sure. But if they don't want to resize it, they don't want to convert a PNG to a JPEG, they don't want to create a WebP themselves, and it shouldn't be their problem. But at the very least, we can just say that this file input should only be accepting images. And the way we actually do that is by specifying an accept property here in the input. So we can say that any file input, and say this accepts, actually GitHub Copilot got me there, image star. So any type of image. And now if I click, all the PNG images that I have here are fine, but maybe on the desktop you can see that this MP4, this video, for example, is not accepted because it's not an image, it's a video. If it was like a text file, a doc, it won't be accepted either. If you want to do image or PDF, that's also a popular one you may want to try. But I think that's it for the UI, amazingly enough. And it does open even when you click on the text, because we've put these things inside the label. It's nice focus, like you enter, it opens the thing. Amazing, works great, works like a charm. But now, we may be wondering, so that was quick. We may be wondering, okay, I've selected like this image, and on some operating systems, you can see the thumbnail, you can make them be a big thumbnail as well. You can do lots of things, but sometimes the user does want to see what the image looks like instead of just seeing the file name and having the preview before. It makes them feel happier. So I will try to have a preview. If you've selected something here, I will show you a preview of what you've selected, and you can do that for free without having to upload the image first. So why not do it? The answer is it's JavaScript. You need to write more code, but we can do it. And also, it's going to be a bit different since we're doing Svelte 5 here. So I think we should just do it. So the idea is, once the user has selected an image here, we should have like a little avatar, or a little something, a little image right below or right by the side. That's like a UI problem. And once we have the image here, there is a way to attach it into an image directly, but if I was rendering an image element here, with no source, oh, maybe I'm wrong actually. Doesn't need an alt. Hello. Yeah, the moment I give it an alt attribute, which this my ESLint or SvelteLint or whatever says that I need to put this in, even though this is going to be dynamically added later, then the browser is going to render this, even though it doesn't have a source, so it will always not exist. Maybe this is a way to get around this problem. Maybe, actually. We're figuring this out on the fly. So you have like this empty image element. I'm not sure that's the way to go. Yeah, I don't like it. So the way to have access to this element in Svelte 4 and 5 and below, I guess, is that you can't bind this. You can get a reference to it by binding this. So let's say let image element, we'll type it later. If we were to do bind this to image element, then we could have a reference to this image element to do something with once the user selects the file through here. But I think it's a bit squirrely to have these empty source attributes and stuff, and we'll want it inside the container anyways. So I'd rather just have a div here that's going to be my image container, preview image container div, and actually bind this here, and then programmatically we're going to add an image element. That's what I'm thinking. Let me know if you have a different way to solve this, and I'll actually call it upload preview container, something like that. And this one is going to be an HTML div element. And that's just going to be an empty div. That's fine. What we want to do is on change. So when this file input changes its value, so when the user just does this and selects something, we want something to happen to add something to this upload preview container, to add an image to this upload preview container. So on change, and this is Svelte 5, so we don't do the column in between. We want something to happen. That something, it's going to be a handler that maybe we can just write like outside of the file, maybe here, like in our script tag. It's TypeScript for sure. I'll call it render preview or something. And then we will need the event. So let's type this as a change event handler on HTML input element and pass it along here. Hello Kai in the chat. Maybe having elements with a source map to a real image, kind of a placeholder. So no file yet, we're going to use this placeholder. Yes, so that's something that I plan to maybe do eventually. So having a default fallback image, so the user knows that I guess the user avatars have like this silhouette of people, and this one could have like an accessory, like a loot type of accessory. So that's a great idea. But I was planning to do it quite a bit later. For now, how the loot tables work, we just have like a div that has like a different color depending on whether it's a fantasy or a sci-fi item. But these could be the placeholder images. So by default, you'd have this. Your way will not have layout shift. That's correct. That's something we will be solving for. So let's get there, actually. So on change of this input element, what do we want to happen? Just in case, because maybe there are going to be changing images here, we want to do the preview container element inner HTML to be the empty string, so that will call it upload preview container. This one, the inner HTML, I want it to be empty string, so it's going to clear anything we've added inside. And then what we want to do is this is going to take the event, and if there is files here, because that doesn't really know that it's an input of type file, or maybe you've canceled out of that process. So we can double check this and check that we have more than 0 files. It's not a multiple file input, so it should just have the one, but just in case, maybe you do want to add more. Length. Then the image to upload is going to be the first item in that array. So in these files that are at least one, we're going to get the first one, and then we want to create an image element. And that image element, we want to add a source. And the way you can make that blob, that file, be an image essentially, it's gonna base64 encode it as an image. If we use this API from the URL, global, we create object URL. This is gonna base64 encode whatever the person has uploaded here. And just to be nice, we can even give it an out of like your image preview, or you can give it the file name if you want. It doesn't really matter. I've seen that commonly used. And with that, in our upload preview container, we are going to append this image sound we have created, and then figure out what I named correctly or not. Is it this? No, it's not. It must be something else. Oh, preview. What's this? This is a weird import that didn't help at all. VS Code. Why did you bring that in? All right, so let's select a file here. So you do this, and as Kaki said, you get layout shift, which may be annoying. It doesn't affect your core web vitals because the scraper is not going to go there, and that's going to be after a user interaction. It's going to be fine, but it is a bit annoying. Let's be real. So you select one, it goes down like this. Not sure. Like, let me know if it's more annoying or not. But you probably want to do something like that. And Kaki's idea is that you have a preview image and you saw it on the right. Like the default image is this. If you don't upload anything, then we're going to show this so you know what you're up against. But also, since we are here and we're using Tailwind, we can also add a rounded shadow here. And it looks a bit better. Maybe in light mode, it looks a bit even better with the subtle shadow. And it probably needs, it probably needs some more padding as well. But we'll probably put it on the side, do like an avatar type of thing. I think that makes sense. We'll try to resolve this because I also find it slightly annoying. So if the user comes here and then they cancel, then it goes back to no file chosen. That's the way to escape, like, oh, I didn't mean to upload this image. I don't want to upload any image. And if they've selected one and they select another one, it's going to update to the one they have, and you get that little jump. This is going to be instant because we're not actually uploading anything. It's just using the file that the user has. So that's cool. It's not the end of the world, but we can do better. How would we tell this to the user? It's like, do you have it thumbnail elements and then just have it on off to the right, like the preview image? Maybe. Maybe that's the way to do it. Should I ask ChatGPT for for animes? Probably. So how do we do the little squigglies in the table? We're using these little avatars. We have these little divs. Yeah, we don't really need the name. I'm just thinking of the fly how we would solve this. So I do like the idea of having the image, and you don't necessarily need no file chosen, but that's what people do understand this. People do understand that file inputs by default do have this thing. So, and this is also localized according to the user's language. So I would leave this here. But what's my question? My question is that we also want like a default avatar or something. So we can have this as default, like maybe have it be a bit bigger. And it's not going to be that big. We can have this on the right. Maybe it's in the form control, actually. Maybe it's in the label. Not necessarily. To want it to be in line with this input. So yeah, maybe this. Maybe another div here. All right, doesn't look too bad. And now it's this one that we're thinking of changing with the preview. But then how does it default back to that? We should like save this as a picture and we can use it. But we could also store this as a variable and see if we have it, then we use it. Idea is if we bind this the value pull previews. Nope. What did I call it even? Then we can do a check to render this. So if there is none, you render it. If there is some, you don't. Oof, I'd have expected this to disappear. And do it in the own sense. And this would be file or null, I suppose. Right, any better? Great. But instead of rendering it here, we want that div to render here. And we want it to render either way because if it doesn't render, we cannot bind this to it. It has to be in the DOM every time to use this trick. So there you go. Something is happening. But I guess we can give it this 8/12. All right, so it doesn't look too bad. But it's only happening in the image. All right, not too bad. Does this avatar give it like some more padding or something? Not clear. Anyway, doesn't look too bad. Can move on. If we cancel out, it goes back to this. It's fine. You do get to see a bit more. And it's not the biggest image in the world. It should be a bit bigger anyway. Maybe we can give this the class avatar anyway. See what happens now. That I did not expect. Right, so moving along, we'll come back to placeholder images later, but by default, it's gonna have this one. And if not, if you upload something, this is what you'll be uploading. The smallest image in the world. We're gonna do bigger ones. For sure, but it's important to do images as big as you need them, which is double the maximum possible resolution that your users would be seeing them in, to account for it in displays. And even if they have like 3x retina or 4x retina or whatever they have, there is no meaningful change there with human perception. Humans will not be able to tell the difference. So just do 2x and you should be fine. Let's try a quick object cover. In the image itself. Let's see. Doesn't really matter. We'll figure it out. UI stuff, we'll figure it out. Let's see what happens when we actually try to submit this to the server. We'll come back to this. So let's say we did the upload image preview. We'll do more with the fallback later, as we had here. So let's consider this done. Now, what do we do in the server? Again, this doesn't send anything to the server just yet. We need to actually click save. The user needs to click save to actually submit. And we haven't made this a required input, so they can even just click save now and nothing really will happen. But if they do have an image, what we do want to happen, so an example here, if this was required and they didn't select anything and they click save, the browser would get them here, which is great, but it shouldn't be required because we do have a default fallback image to use. Cool. So when we submit the form, we hit our default action for this page, this one. We've done server actions and SvelteKit form actions before. We haven't given this form a name, so it's going to hit the default action here. And we do validation with Zod and get everything that needs to stay in our database regarding images. But now we also optionally have an image as well, which we may put in the database or not. We'll see about that. We'll figure it out. But how do you do a schema for an image? So if we have like an image here, what should this be? And there are two problems with this actually, but we'll get to that. I did find a link here of how to easily do it with Zod, because Zod itself in the documentation, they don't have a z.image thing. You can use its refine methods to get to something very workable. And the one I ended up using, was it the one with like the most hearts? Yeah. Well, this one, the one after the one with all the hearts. So you can create your own file schema, and Zod likes to uppercase this, by saying that, checking that this is the instance of file. That message, maybe you don't need to apply. And the image schema, you can refine the file schema and check that actually the file size, the file type must start with image. I don't know why the equality is 0 here. That's a bit weird. I thought it'd be like more than 0. But hey, it's just much like our browser validation, it is checking that what they're uploading is an image and not like a PDF or something like that, or a text file. And now we can just attach this here. This should adhere to the image schema or be null, because if they haven't uploaded anything, this would be null. And now we can save parts for image as well. And try to submit the form and try to do something with the image, and that's going to be just fine. Our database will ignore the extra image property here. Maybe we can get the image out, actually. Maybe not. Get it out here. Don't pass it in our database thing. We won't be saving the database like this, that's for sure. Let's call this validated data. And this one, let's just console log it. Cool. So if they were being naughty somehow and managed to select something that's not an image, the Svelte schema should block it. However, you may have noticed that I press save and something fails. The form doesn't submit, and that's because that's new in SvelteKit 2. Previous versions of SvelteKit did allow you to upload files even though you haven't added a specific attribute to your form. Now with SvelteKit 2, you need to add the encryption type to set it as multi-part form data, or else it's not going to work. So in development, it's going to give you this error and refuse to submit the form for you unless you add this. So every time you have an input of type file, as we added just now, it used to be that SvelteKit would add this header for you. But as always, someone came up with a use case like, oh, I want to be in control and I don't want to do this, and this is too much magic and I don't like it. So in SvelteKit 2, you have to manually add this. So encryption type multiple form data is what we want. And now, finally, if we select the image and click save, it is actually successfully submitted and updated, and we should be able to find, we should be able to console log this file and see what cool stuff we can do with this. And the size is indeed not 0, so I'm not sure what that validation is doing. Not sure. If it's 0, it's not checking. If it's null, it's not sure. But that's by the by. We've made it to having that image on the server. So that's cool. So that's cool indeed. And did I have like another agenda item for this? I think so, because that's the point where we need to upload it somewhere, and we're going to be uploading it to Cloudinary. So I'll click this as completed. And am I really managing to hit these like on the second, or are you doing something there to just be on the dot? Always on the minute and not with a second. If I did manage to hit it on the minute every time, like 6 times, that'd be amazing. But unlikely. Seconds don't work. Yeah, it makes sense. It felt unlikely that I just happened to hit it like this. Alright. Notion doesn't follow seconds. They're about saving you hours, not seconds. They don't care about seconds. No meeting has even started at 4:30 to 35. And rounding to the minute is, of course, perfectly fine. Again, what I plan to do here, You can see here that I did this too close together. But what I plan to do after the stream is just copy and paste this and scrub the video and see if we are around the same point. And that's it, paste it. And if I fine tune it like tomorrow, that's for the best. But at least you get timestamps right after the stream is over, which is cool. Right, so we have the file. What do? We are deploying to Vercel. We can't write it to the file system, and we won't want to, even if we're deploying to something like Fly. It is like a big thing of your app may be deployed to many instances, but its state probably needs to stay somewhere else and needs to be in sync everywhere in the world as well. So what we'll do today is Cloudinary. Another classic solution that we may explore in the future is just put it to an S3 bucket in the cloud. But for today, we'll just upload to Cloudinary. Of course, all these services, which are super important, are usually super expensive as well. So we'll see, we'll try to get things right, because I don't know what 25 monthly credits mean. If it's like 3 transformations, if it's like 1 transformation per credit, we'll reach that limit quite fast. But we'll see. So they want us to bring in the Cloudinary API. And do they have like a curl fallback? I guess not. They must have something. They must have something. I'm worried that they're using like old version of Axios that just uses fetch and it's not going to work on the ads. But maybe I shouldn't worry. Maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe they know. So what did they say? First of all, we want to npm add Cloudinary. Correct? Correct. So I'm not actually going to paste this on the terminal. Add the Cloudinary. Great. And then it does a thing that I don't like, that it doesn't create like a new instance of something. It just mutates whatever you import, which I don't know. I feel a bit icky from the get-go. But anyway, we only want to use this. We want to only use this on the server as it stands. And as we may remember, SvelteKit ensures that can only run on the server if you put it in a source lib server directory or within that subdirectory, or if you have the .server.ts extension. But who does that anyway? And we may even create a repo for this. I'm not sure. For now, let's just create a Cloudinary, I guess, yes, and paste these things. And all of these can be environment variables, and I have added them before the stream. I've updated my .env to test it, so what they are, but in my .env file and my .env.local, etc., and in the Vercel environment variable section for deployments, I've added these 3 environment variables: the Cloudinary cloud name, the Cloudinary API key, the Cloudinary API secret. I did prefix public for the cloud name and the API key, because I do think if you want to use their own Cloudinary's own Svelte components, they do depend on having some environment variables available. They do claim you should have vid public as the prefix, but that's not the prefix that SvelteKit uses. So I don't know, maybe this should be updated. I guess because they know what they're doing, that they are checking for both and either. And I didn't see a way to configure the environment variable somewhere else. Anyway, doesn't matter. We won't be using this for now. We'll be using their library directly. So this one should be public Cloudinary cloud name and public Cloudinary API key. and Cloudinary API secret. And for the free tier, they also only allow you to have one cloud. In reality, in a real client, I would have at least two, like the Loot Goblin dev and Loot Goblin for production, just to ensure, like, I may be uploading images as a test, for example, right? I don't want them to be in the production bucket because it's handier if you can just say, all right, dev bucket, delete everything in there and move on with your life. So now we should have this thing, which maybe we can export, I guess. Can I? Let's just do this. Maybe. So I think this will work. My doggy is sleeping so peacefully. My wife came just now. Let's see if she figures out that this happened. Amelina, it's mom. She's such a cute girl. Right, so we have this client, I guess, not thrilled about it, but we have it. And we'll try to use it maybe directly here. We can put something in the locals. Should we just put something in the locals? I think so. So you may remember that we are putting loot repos, user repos, that sort of thing in the locals in our hooks file to do our own flavor of dependency injection. And Cloudinary could be part of the loot repo, I guess. That would actually make sense, to be honest. Or you could have like an image service repo, because maybe then it's a bit easier to switch Cloudinary for your own solution in the future, or Cloudinary for Cloudflare images, or whatever you're gonna use later. So it depends on what you want to do. What should we do today? Yeah, because this is like database specific. But then maybe we do want, maybe we will get like a public URL back, and we'll want to name that. We'll want to, yeah, maybe I will use Cloudinary side here, like this, like dependency injection, but this dependency has like another dependency, the image dependency. It's fine for this example, I guess. So remember when I said extract the image from this? Forget this. Actually, let's go to our loot repo. Now I do want a separate image service. So actually, let's go somewhere. Let's go to our app.t.ts and declare another interface. Let's see, like image repo, images repo. Yeah, let's have an image repo. But for that, repos, let's copy our users repo, call it images, and take inspiration from our users repo interface, call it images repo interface. Nothing from here. Maybe this one can have the schema of what's a file as well. Could be fun, but we won't be doing it now. It won't be that much fun. And I guess we want to upload image, and then the image file, and then it returns an ID or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Not sure. Maybe it returns the URL back. I don't know. Let's say it returns nothing to start with. And now images repo is going to be images repo interface. And let's do an implementation of this. Cloudinary implementation. So this is the thing that's going to be using Cloudinary actually. So everything we did here, forget it ever happened. It's going to be in this file. And it's not going to be doing stuff with drizzle. Implements the Cloudinary, the images repo interface, and we don't need to export this anymore. So we can call it Cloudinary, whatever we want. It feels a bit naughty to do this outside of the constructor, but hey. Maybe we should do it in the constructor. Nah. And all we want is to implement the one method. This is upload image, I guess. It's like an image file and does nothing. It's async. And that's it. We're going to be doing stuff with Cloudinary here soon. But we also want to go to our hooks file. And here where we're injecting the DB users repo, for example, we want to inject Cloudinary images repo, but inject it as the images repo. Cool. So again, the idea is in the future, if we switch to Cloudflare, then we implement with Cloudflare. And it's going to be as easy as changing this line at that point, doing the switch. You can even do it under flag if you're not sure, if you don't have time to roll back. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, whenever you switch services, working with kind of dependency injection, working with interfaces for sure, is going to save you time. If you're not going to be changing stacks, you're not going to be changing third parties, then it doesn't save you at all any time. It just costs you time because writing like these interfaces do take a little bit of time, but it may be a good practice to get into. Again, it's one of those, has pros and cons, has advantages, disadvantages. It's not a silver bullet, just do interfaces all the time. I get it if you don't want to do it. Anyway, let's upload some images. So what they want us to do is take the uploader object and upload what I hope can be just a file here, and then give it a public ID, which is fair enough. And then I guess, can this become magically async? Not sure. Not sure. We'll find out. So can I pass this just an image and will it work the same? The answer is no. So that's not good. Surely they have something. Do I have a link somewhere? Here. It does a file here. Can I pass in like a blob? Or do I need to turn it into a string here? So this can be local file path, not gonna work. Ah, it says actual data, so byte array buffer. So we can turn this into an array buffer, I'm sure. So this array buffer, great. And if you await it, it's gonna actually turn to an array buffer. And yet it doesn't like it. I wonder if that unsigned method actually is the one that supports buffer. Nah, it should be both. I guess in the end we can turn this into a data array as we've seen with the image preview, but I think this would work. And what else can we do? Nothing really. Ah, stream. Did they say something about stream? Then we have like asset IDs and all of that. We also want a name. It's going to be a string. The name can also be its path, I think. Anything else I've linked in my research? I think that's it. I was really hoping for this array buffer to work. Anything else that says it gets buffer? No. Oh well. I will just ignore this for now and see if it works. And the file name I am going to use is going to be the ID of the loot, because that's going to help with overwriting the image. I don't want to keep the other one that they've used. Right, so interface should update a little bit. And now, from the locals, I also want to await the images repo. Upload image, the image, and that's it. So we're back to what we're doing before. But the name is actually going to be yeah, loot ID. That makes sense. But only if there's an image? Sure. So if there's an image, do this, and we can do this in parallel. This is going to happen anyway. And then conditionally, we can add this. And then we can await all the promises. an array of whatever promises you want. Cool. So in theory, this should upload the image to the correct bucket. Anything else we want to try? There are a few interesting things. I did create a preset here in Cloudinary for what I want to happen when the image gets uploaded. And I can resize the image preemptively as well. So it has a upload preset here. And I believe if I look hard enough, when did I use that? Interesting. Right, settings, upload. I do have some presets. What do I have for this one? Just puts them in a specific folder. And also says that I want to override this. There are a few things that you can do, including whether you want to do some image AI, image recognition and stuff. Text reading. Some cool stuff here. So maybe we do want a preset here, which should be an environment variable. But for now, let's just use it. This is optional when you use the signed uploads, what we were using before. We also said we don't want this. Is preset an option there? Maybe here. Is it ever a promise? Ah, it is a promise. Great. So upload preset. Sure. Instead of a callback, we can just await it, I suppose. And we could console log the result, and we don't really care. And I guess with a get image of with a name, we should be able to get whatever we've uploaded. But we'll find out. First things first. Does the upload part work? Press save. Error. Cool. So yeah, TypeScript once again was correct. They really want a string there. That's unfortunate. But I do feel we can do the trick we were doing on the front end. And this creates a base64 encoded image and returns, which is a string. So let's do that. Maybe it's gonna work. Maybe not. All right, Googling time. So the unexpected one is that it doesn't accept a buffer, right? Actual data binary buffer, but it doesn't. It's the JavaScript one. File source options. It does have the upload stream thingy. So maybe that's the one we want. All right. Maybe now we're cooking. How do we pass these options? So kinda interesting. We need, so that's the callback. We need to pass this in the end, I guess. So these are gonna be the options. And it's not awaitable. And in the end, we pass the array buffer here, and then it's gonna be happy. But this is not awaitable, which is unfortunate. So we need to kind of wrap this into a promise, I guess. It'd be nice if they did this for us, but hey. For some reason, this is untyped. Yeah, we did check whether you can await this, and you cannot. Right, so now I think it should be happy. So no error, resolve this. Should we detect this? Maybe. Doesn't matter. First, let's see if it works. And we can await this to make sure this is actually awaited. All right, good luck to us. I feel this has promise. Not enough promise. Because the upload thing is kind of ugly. I think we're almost to the end. Let's see. So now, let's see. Valid argument type yet again. But that one should have been fine. too ugly for me. I'd rather spend hours on this. So this is definitely an array buffer, and they are claiming that this should work with an array buffer, yeah? This feels like it would work, but then file, node file to whatever this is. This is going to be more data over the wire, but it should be fine. To convert file to this. Ugh. So we want this to happen, right? We want to get this. We want to get the data URI. File to data URI in Node. Ugh, so many things to bring. So we did try the URL thing trick, right? Yes, we did, but we didn't pass the stream. Is that what we need to do? Oh, maybe ChatGPT knows. So let's copy this just in case, but go back to what we had before. And yeah, so this didn't work. This is not going to work. Hello, account wizard India. Nice to see you here. And I'm gonna ask ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, how do I turn this? And that shouldn't be like too modern, so it should be fine. Ugh, but I don't have access to FS. Do I? Do you have access to FS on the edge? Oh, is it just this? Is it just a string? All we wanted? The answer is no. What's the text gonna be? Close to that's gonna be a string. Couldn't reach such a video to help us. What plan do I have after this project ends? So could be the final boss again, SaaS, software as a service product that has memberships and uses Stripe and that sort of thing. But we could take a little shorter break to create that YouTube tool, which Milos in the chat as well has created this timestamp creator thingy where I paste in my Notion agenda, and when I click the items, it creates a timestamp so I can quickly update the descriptions, and then people watching these streams later can more easily find the different chapters and move ahead. And I can add comments like, oh, it gets stuck with the Cloudinary API for like 2 hours, and they can skip ahead to the solution. So I could make a proper Svelte project with this that actually has Google login and can create the live streams for me in advance, can set them to public like 5 minutes before, and even has a little section I can overlay in OBS. So when I click any item, then something pops over in the stream, or there's something in the corner that says we're in this section, like something to that can start kind of easy. The base thing is I have my YouTube description here. I want it to update at real time, so it is more useful for people watching, and can feature creep into many things. If you have suggestions, as always, let me know what you think the next project should be. But I'm thinking those two, either the big membership one straight away, or like a little fun one, like the YouTube chapter generator. Or can always make a video game. That's going to be different. So did we... No. Did we convince ChatGPT, GitHub Copilot, to help us? The answer is no. Yeah, Cloudinary's upload method accepts a file instance, but no, you're hallucinating. GitHub Copilot, that's what I thought during my prep here, but the answer is no. But maybe, like the real API actually does, they're using like the old API. Let's see, maybe we can do it without the library. Ooh, and it is the V1 one. So yeah, this one, they did claim that we can do this with array buffer, but not really. Don't they have like better docs for this? They have the Postman collection, I guess. Maybe that's what they want here. So what's file supposed to be? A file. Great. But it's the path to the file. Did we have a path to the file when we console logged this like 3 years ago, when we were at this point? Like, we shouldn't. Because that's not a real thing. We don't have this on the server. You're learning tech at 40 for a project in mind. Please let me know. I'm almost there. I'm 38. Right. So this one claims it was a file, but there has to be a string that's supposed to be a path, I guess. What else do we have here? Oh, thanks. The more I use Turso and Drizzle, especially Drizzle, the more I use it, the more I like it. It's quite nice. So the name is just going to be the name of the thing, right? Not the path. WebKit relative path? What is this? Let's try again. I like how it prompted me for like also ask how to optimize the images or something. Hey Sean, how are you doing? Right on the man in 38, great place to be. All right, so this feels more possible than ever. I am kinda suspicious of the buffer. All right, we're getting somewhere. I think we're gonna do it. If ChatGPT is to be believed. GitHub Copilot. And we know it's WebP. Oh, you were yesterday's comment. I definitely remember you. Just didn't recognize your username here. I think they saw quite a bit differently in YouTube Studio than in the chat. Did you try sign up with one-time password? Those solutions, which are the more modern ones. And I'm sure they're going to work for you. Unlike what I have here, which I'm not sure if it's going to work for me. But we'll find out. One more try. Oh, it worked. I think it just worked. So the around 40 energy from the chat, the positive vibes have helped. Let's see if we actually have something here. I don't want digital asset management or anything. I was hoping that there would be some UI to see what I have available here. Oh, fair enough. You should have a look at the streams with Lucia. But not Swabase. We're doing Drizzle. Sorry. So yeah, glad that it worked. Neon is the third-party database provider that Vercel also uses for its one free database that they use they give you. So they're cool. They are cool. So what I'm doing here, I'm trying to prove that we've uploaded this file somewhere, but there doesn't seem to be a way. It feels like it'd be here in assets, right? And see my own images, not other images. Oh, there you go. Here you go. Great. I don't know what these are about, but it looks like we did make it. Perfect. So after convincing GitHub Copilot to help us the way we wanted and tell them, please read again the instructions, they did manage to get what we want. Unfortunately, Cloudinary doesn't seem to support uploading an array buffer, as they claim, or a stream, as they also claim, but they do support uploading a file if you give it as a base64 encoded string. And since we have the array buffer, and apparently, I hope, buffer is implemented on the edge, I think this will just work and not crash in production, but we'll see. And yeah, we have the array buffer. since we have this API, we can convert it to a base64 encoded string, and all we need is to prefix this correctly according to the format. And the question is, do we have the format here? Is it like type? I guess. So should I be brave enough and tell them how to use this here? Is it just going to be the type? Maybe. Let's ask Copilot again. Does Cloudinary have an app that works with SvelteKit? Yes. So we began this stream saying that if you just want to upload some files, there is a Cloudinary package that you can download and use, but we're just going a bit deeper into the weeds here. And they even have the upload button that gives you like this UI that can also integrate with your Google Drive and stuff. So definitely, maybe the unique selling point of your app is not how good your image uploads look. So you want to save time and move on with your life. You can definitely bring this in, have this button, get it working, and it's going to be just fine. Something really cool that the Svelte package also has is the Cloud OG for Open Graph images. So you can use them to create very nice Open Graph images for social media, for when you share on WhatsApp and Discord and all of that. So definitely worth a look to just use this. But as always, we're trying to have a look at behind the scenes of what you need to do in order to get things working. So when you use libraries like this one, you are more able to pivot when something goes wrong. You kind of know what's going on. It's not all mystic and weird. Or if this library like gets deprecated, or if you're like, I'm gonna move out of Cloudinary because I found a different solution, or the company I'm working on is working with Cloudflare images now, then you kind of know what you do instead of just going straight into using this library. But it looks very, very cool, and we may use it even for the images here. Right, so amazingly, we did manage to upload the one image to Cloudinary. It seems like we need a lot of convincing to see the ID of what this is, but hopefully we've managed to upload it with the correct name. It is in the correct format, in the correct folder, sure. I don't see a file name, which is business. Ah, this one. Good. So correct directory, correct ID. This should represent the ID of this item in the database. So that's great. And I want to ask all right, so question is, well, two questions. Can we override the existing image or can we not? But first, let's render the image somewhere, see how that's gonna work. Let's see how that's gonna work. How do we get this URL? Good question. And we want to transform it like this. So I imagine this will bring us the URL of the image. And oh, it's inside an upload directory. Interesting. Anyway, where do we use these images? We use them, for example, here. So let's see. We also have the Cloudinary library. We give it we get a URL back. If we do this, great. Maybe upload large is what we wanted. Who knows? Because this is file again. But we'll find out later. Let's get an image from Cloudinary. Let's go to our repo and say that we also want fetch image by a given name, string, and get a string back. And maybe we will be asking for specific width and heights as well. So in here, I think this time Copilot auto-completed correctly. We'll find out. Don't think we need to do something else. Later we'll optimize them for different heights as well. You can even specify where to zoom, like some CDNs, especially the ones specialized in images, have cool stuff like that. Cloudinary also has background removal, some cool things there. Which you can kind of use with the SvelteKit component that they provide as well. So that's quite neat. Indeed. And the question is, do we want to do this for each image here? Maybe. Let's see. So on this page, we are fetching all the matching loot, but should we also be fetching all the repo in there? I guess. Do we want images for all of these things is the question. And I'd say yes. And what's the loot supposed to be? It's supposed to be this. So let's say that it can also have an image URL or image path. Maybe. And for each one, will that return null if we have nothing? Who knows? We're claiming that this will return a string, but maybe it returns null, right? Like, what happens if that doesn't exist? Does it fail? Does it error? We'll find out. And we know that the path will actually be loot/this. So we'll make 1,000,000 requests here, and then we'll await them. Or maybe I can immediately do this, I guess. Or I guess I can just immediately do this. To make it as unreadable as possible. But maybe this makes it more explicit. All right, so we've done this. If we go to the UI now, here, we could say, just quickly, if image path, I guess. What did we actually call it? And we can destructure it. And let's just render this and see how it looks like, what we get back from Cloudinary. Oh, we get this. Great. Don't know why it has like this question mark here. It looks like something. So the question is, if we just use an image here and put the source as this, will it just work? And give it an alt. Not quite. So what did we get back? Surely we got something back. What's that weird query parameter? So this is nothing. Without the query parameter, this is also nothing. We add like JPEG here. Do we get something? Because the answer is no. And I do see like this image upload whatever thingy. So yeah, we get something, but it can't find it. Is it because of that specific item? Supposedly this one. it is correct. And it is looking at Goblin. It feels like we're close. Where is the actual image element? Oh, is it missing the Goblin dev thingy? Oof, would never know this. We've had a preset that makes it go into a directory, but we didn't pass that preset elsewhere. But also, shouldn't we be getting like a response back that we didn't actually find this file? Maybe it just doesn't do a request. Yeah, so with the preset, we're adding this prefix with Goblin dev. So that's the thing we were missing. But how can we add the same thing when we fetch it back? Can we add a preset here? Not really. Anyway, the problem was that we do need to prefix this because it's an upload preset thing. So let's call it upload preset for now. So now it should be fine. Great. Just too small. And we should give it a nice width and height. All right, so we're getting somewhere. However, this image is clearly too big for our use case. What can we do? We should be able to pass some parameters here to transform this into a smaller image. And in theory, we could have done this on the upload process as well. Instead of uploading a huge file, we could be uploading this. But let's prove that our thing works. We need to upload to change this preview as well, because it should start as whatever we have before. So I guess we should be storing this in a database. That makes more sense. But the upload should still work. When that's done, this should update the new thing, but it doesn't. So that's interesting, to say the least. I wonder, do we have two things in the media here? We just have the one. Maybe that's some aggressive cousin on their part, because it has overridden this one. Clearly. Yeah, so now it has updated. Will it update here ever? It should. You can see if you open it directly, it's here, but on this one, for some reason, it's the response is more cast, and it's actually serving the other one. Anyway, casting validation, one of the trickiest things in engineering. We did manage to fetch it here, and I was thinking that we could keep going through the agenda to actually request different image formats and different image sizes from Cloudinary using the picture element by ourselves, which would be similar to what that SvelteKit enhanced image library is doing by default. So if you remember, if we look at the code for this, so on our generic error page, we're using that enhanced image library, and we just pass it an image that's in our version control. We're importing this file, and we give it some parameters. We can also give it width and height. And even though this says it's an image element, it's actually a picture element that has a few different possible sources in it, and then the fallback image. So according to what they think is most performant but less supported images, they put the least supported ones up top and the most performant ones. So Aviv, nowadays, people are saying this is the best compressed image that still produces great vivid results. So that's one you put first. And the way the picture element works, if the browser is able to render this, then that's it. It's only going to do this request. It's only going to show this image, and these are not even requested. But if it doesn't, then it moves on to the second source element you have and checks. Do I support WebP? If yes, it's going to load this one. If not, it's going to move on. Do I support PNG? It's going to load this one in the end. And if your browser doesn't even support picture with sources like this, it's going to fall back to this image element, which is where you still apply some classes as you want them. There are other tricks you can do as well. You can specify that for the normal resolution, taking this, for the Retina 2X resolution, taking that one by supplying source sets. We could recreate this by hand, but we can also use something like the Cloudinary Svelte library or the unpick library, which I think that's what we'll go straight into using today. The Cloudinary library is using unpick Svelte behind the scenes, so it's a wrapper for this library as well. So I do think it's important to try to use it here, and it kind of works like the image element from Next.js, if you've seen that one that Vercel has, and you can use in Astro as well. In that you give it the source of the image, and if the source is on a CDN it recognizes, which I can only imagine Cloudinary is going to be one of them, then it's going to do all of that song and dance about wrapping everything in a picture element and providing and setting the Aviv option first, then the WebP, blah, blah, blah. Something you can do even if you don't want to bother with picture elements and stuff like that. The main thing, the main cause of layout shift is if you don't specify width and height on your images. So if you can't be bothered to add libraries and do all of this, apply things to CDNs, at least specify the width and height of the image. Which you do know, like if you just have a local image and you see how big it gets, then you just specify how you want it to look there. Yes, all tags, well, that doesn't cause layout shift, but it's an important accessibility thing. Instead of a title, you can just specify alt here. So yeah, I don't know. I think the Vercel optimized image one came first and this one came second, but very cool project to start for sure. We're going to try to use it now. So let's say we did this. I'm not going to do this. We'll just use unpick Svelte immediately and see what happens. all of my image buffer problems gone. Let's try to bring this in. So in theory, we'll just bring it in and it's just gonna work, right? And how big do we want it? I guess at most it's this. So at most it's 48, double that, 96, makes sense. So in here, I guess we'll always have an image path for this. We don't actually need to do the request in Cloudinary. Not sure. Not sure. We'll find out. So let's bring in. Let's just use this. Let's paste what we got. Bring it in. It doesn't know where to bring it in. Bring it from. Image path should be this. This is the default, and we said 96, 96, and alt this. Wow. So what did it not like? Potentially nothing. So that's one of the things with using libraries that I forgot to mention that I was worried about. Sometimes libraries do not get updated to alpha or beta or even the latest versions of the tools you want to use. So it seems that this one can't work with strict rules mode, but just saw it today. We can remove this compiler option and maybe that will make it work. Let's see. So yeah, feels like this makes it work. That's something. So that library is still on Svelte 4. Of course, Svelte 5 is in alpha, so not that big a deal. But it does mean if you are on strict runes mode, then you're not able to use it, which is unfortunate. I guess we'll have a look behind the scenes and see what it does and recreate whatever it does ourselves here. And can we add classes here? All right, looks decent. And we can recreate the same for the other items. And if they don't have image URLs, then we just show the default image. I suppose we can manually even upload, go all the way back to Kaki's comment about fallback images. I think we can manually upload something here, and well, they use their own UI for this. You could upload this as the default loot item. And then say, well, if it doesn't have one, fall back to that image. I think that's a good thing to do. And yeah, thanks on that validation of why are we not using these libraries. Well, exactly. Sometimes you do want to use Svelte 5 for whatever reason. You do want to use the latest tool like Tailwind 4 or whatever. And if you're using a library that is wrapping around the thing you want to use the latest version of, sometimes it's just not going to support it. It's not going to support a new API. And you can still move on with your life and just not use the latest and greatest and stay with older dependency for a little while longer. Or if you're in the mood, if you know how things work, you can manually do the work yourself, which maybe we will do in a following stream. But yeah, what I suppose this is doing, you give it the main path, and then according to the other instructions, it's gonna add the parameters needed for Cloudinary to crop in the right position, to give the various image files like the AVIF format, the WebP format, that sort of thing. And just to show it, I guess, a little bit quickly here. There's just a request in the zip image as well. If you do add the prefix here, it's going to return different versions of that image. So since if we were to manually do it, which I will do off screen because I do want to keep this project for Svelte 5, because you're asking for Svelte 5. Then here, where we are asking for this, we could ask for 3 URLs or more: the AVIF one, the WebP one, and the JPEG one. These should be like the most performant versions. And if you reach JPEG, then you're good to go. And then you use these 3 URLs in your optimized image component that you've created to actually render what you want. The only thing I don't like is that this doesn't return null when that URL doesn't exist, which is unfortunate. I think I was reading about this and I found that there is a way to check whether an image exists, like a roundabout way. Yeah, this seems likely. So you can check this, which throws an error if it doesn't exist. So you can return null, I suppose. We can actually do it. We can have the interface type this. And here, so 2 fetch requests for every image. That's quite a lot, but at least we are streaming that results response back, so we should be fine. And yeah, I guess we don't even need to do this, because we can construct the relevant URLs ourselves, now that I think about it. Much like that library is doing. Well, you do add like, oh, the width should be like 96 pixels and the height should be this and crop like that. But in the end, you pass in the bucket, the directory you have it in, and then the ID of this thing. I don't know what this question mark is doing. Can only imagine. Maybe it's a casting thing. Maybe it's for casting. Not sure. Maybe not. But let's have a look. Let's say that for every item, all of this part is going to be the same, and this is just the unique ID of the item. What happens if we don't do the question mark? It still works. And I imagine if we do JPEG, we get a JPEG version of this, and a VIF, this version of this, so that's fine. So even without doing a request to Cloudinary, we could do the request where we check whether that resource exists, but in the end, in our front end, like, we can just give this path. And then our optimized image component would be in a picture element, have the avif.avif version suffix in .avif, then use suffix .webp, then use suffix .jpeg, and that's it. There you go, your own optimized picture element. Without using the Cloudinary API either. So let's see if that's actually going to work. Guess this is the width and height that we requested. This is kind of interesting. Yeah, let's do it live and move on with our lives after this. So let's say that this actually also gets width, number, and height, number. And then here, we can still check if this returns. And if it does, this is going to be the public ID that we want. So we can return that, or else we return nothing. This still works somehow. But we can create a component that we can call optimized image.svelte or something. Maybe we can take inspiration of, like, should we take inspiration out of anything? Maybe not. Maybe not. Because would we be using anything from here? Not sure. We will be using a picture element. We won't be taking children. Don't think there will be like any props or anything. What we really want, I lie, we will have props, but we won't be extending anything else, and we won't have children. So maybe we will be taking a class, which we need to alias in class name, and we will be taking a path. It's going to be a string, the Cloudinary path, I suppose. And what else? The alt, of course. And then we are going to use these things: path, alt, and no rest props. That's it. And here, nothing in the picture element itself, but like just quickly, this is not going to be the most optimized way to do it, but we'll have a few source elements. The first one is going to have a source set. Again, we won't do like the 2x and all of that. Now I may do this offline. But first we want the avif version of whatever we got, and we need to specify that it's avif. And the browser, if it's going to be like, oh, I know this, I can do it. Then it's gonna actually render it using this. Then one for web P. And then we can actually have, yeah, let's do JPEG, why not? But this is where we're also adding the alt text and any classes that were given. So let's see. Did I actually amend the button? Oops. Unleave. So now in our root table, let's use optimized images. That's what I called it, right? I'll save to the crash. No? Something like that. Come on, ID. You can do it. It's not. It gets a path. Oh, we get a width and height here. Do we want width and height here? I think so. So now it should be happy. Oh, and indeed it works. There you go. With our own image element, we did cheat a little bit on the server. In here, we do want to specify the width and height. Because in the Cloudinary images repo, here we just hard-coded this. So now we get it essentially the same result, but we can npm remove this thing. Format while we're here, and go back to our Svelte config, and it's like runes mode. We're back. There you go, your own optimized image component. Not the best one in the world, but this one's mine. So yeah, quite funny. Like the only, the one where I went with the library instead of showing how to do it first, vanilla, and try to shortcut was the one that wasn't working with Svelte 5 and runes. Oh well, that's how it works. Like 10 live streams of doing the close to the middle thing first, and then so and the other way, and the one time would go straight to the source. It doesn't work. That's how it happens. Blames the bricks. But yeah, I should adapt this for other items too, and I guess even for this, like for this form, they should appear here, right? They should appear here, so that fits image trick. We should be doing it on the form too. So where we fetch this loot by ID. We should also get the optimized image, the image for it. And what we did here was this really. Now in this UI, load form, I guess. So this one should be a ternary, actually. Connected to ternaries here. Maybe on this level. And what we should have here should be whatever we put in the loop table. All of this. Name is not defined, you see. Ah, of course. Of course. Right, so you can see it in all its glory now, the one you had before. If you choose to change it, you update it here. I chose the same one and messed up the width and the height. Oh well. It does say H12. I guess it's the avatar that kind of messes it up. Should this be H12? Is that what we were doing before? I think so. Our problem was adding the avatar class here. Anyway, doesn't really matter. That's something for offline savings. So you pick a different one, it updates here. If you don't save the form, refresh. Keep choosing the same one. If you refresh the form, it goes back to the one you have before. But if you do manage, I guess you can have a different copy as well here, according to whether you could say, do you want to change something elements if you have it here, if you already have it. And that may not exist because we use this in the create form as well. So if it's a new item or an item with no thumbnail, you can ask, would you like to change its thumbnail elements? I guess you can ask this regardless because we have the preview one. Oh well. I'll reflect this offline. So we definitely did this. We kinda did this. We did this first. And I forgot to click stuff. So first we did this. Then we did this. And I think we'll leave this bonus for the fallback events. We kinda did it with the square, but it needs more UI work. And I do need a bit more coffee. Them's the breaks. This is the gist. Let's give it like a quick try. Again, what happened again when we gave this the avatar class? Kinda flipped out. Yeah, don't know why. The moment you put this, what does it do? Interesting. How do they say they use avatars, those Daisy UI people? So they always have this, and then they have a div, and then they have a thing inside. Interestingly enough. All right, so that looks the same, but this one actually is this gonna make it any better? I think so. I'll hope. Kinda nailed it. Ah, of course, this has this these classes, no matter what. Maybe fine actually. Nope. The answer is nope. Right, we did it. Almost perfect. Just a wee little thing. Guess it's the padding. If it's hidden, what happens? Nothing much. I guess it's the gap because of the element existing. Maybe not. Oh well. I think this is going to be as good as it gets for now. Let's say that it happens so you can see the whole name of your file. More of the name of your file. Not the end of the world. Picked some really scary items here. But that's it. So using our own custom optimized image component, which just uses the picture element and gives the most performant image formats. First, if the browser supports it, it's going to use the browser is going to use the first one it supports. So Aviv or WebP or JPEG. So final fallback. And I guess on the backend we're doing like some craziness for actually getting these URLs, and that's fine. The craziest thing has to be checking whether this resource exists. This throws an error if it doesn't exist, so we return no image. Do you need this API call? I think a normal person would actually store in the database the URL path. So if you've uploaded the image, then you have a new column in your database. I think that would make things much easier. Maybe we'll refactor into this. So we have our load schema, and then we add like a new table, like image path here. That's like a text image path, and it can be null, whether Drizzle is newer than the data that GitHub Copilot has, so it often gets it wrong. But I've streamed, and someone in the chat told me the next day they tried to do the same and it auto-completed what I've done. So sometimes it's very fast. Anyway, that's by the by. You have this in your database, and then you actually use this as your signifier of, do I have an image uploaded for this or not? If this is not null, you have an image uploaded for this. If it is null, then you don't have an image for this. You should go to the default one. Or instead of having this be nullable, you could also be pointing to your fallback image that you know you've uploaded somewhere. Go to that one. The problem with this is that you do have two sources of truth. Like, you are in charge of maintaining that just adding this record to the database doesn't do anything magic, doesn't talk to Cloudinary. You have to ensure that you've talked to Cloudinary, you've given it the same value as the image path here, and that's it. Since we use the IDs for this, we could also make it this just a boolean, like does it have an image or not? But I don't know, I kind of like having the image path here. So we've been through a lot. We've talked about image options and CDNs and what we could do. Let me know what you'd like to see in the future. Again, we could be doing the image transformations ourselves. If this looks too confusing, we could be getting the image upload and then transforming it the way Vercel is doing it, really, with the SARP library. Every time the user uploads, we could even eagerly create a WebP and Aviv version for this, because a lot of the CDNs do it on the fly, only when it's requested, which is definitely cheaper for them, and possibly cheaper for you. But is it ideal for your users? Probably not. The first one gets a slower experience, but it's fine. Anyway, at the time of upload, we could be doing the file manipulations here and putting stuff in a storage bucket, in an S3 storage bucket, and then we do more logic to fetch the appropriate image from that storage bucket. We're more in control. We're just paying AWS, which is cheaper for these things than any third party. And our bank accounts are happier, I guess. You don't have to worry about knowing anything else on AWS. And then you can put in your CV as well. Oh, it's 3 AWS image optimization. Maybe cooler than I've used Cloudflare images. Maybe not. Like lots of companies are using Cloudflare images and the like. So maybe that's what they want. All right. Clearly, it's rambling time. The point was, I am thinking one of the next streams could be this, actually using S3 and all of that. Streametzerer. I have no hope pronouncing your handle without any vowels. But you're saying thanks, Johnny. Thank you for watching and chatting. Have a look at some of the other live streams. There were a couple of subjects I was interested about. Let me know which ones they were, and most of all, let me know what you'd like to see next. I'm happy to show things that people are interested about. If not, I default to the things I find interesting as well. And I guess that's what got you here in the end. So they're all good approaches. The point is, I would love your feedback. Thank you for saying this. So yeah, images, likely one. We may just reinforce our learnings by uploading the user avatar here. So first of all, when you log in with a social provider, which we've shown before, we do get the avatar from them. Maybe we'll just steal that avatar, upload it to our S3 or Cloudinary or wherever else, and just see how we can do this upload process work. Now that we've done it once, we'll do it twice and do it even better next time. That could be fast. Refactoring to use AWS S3, another potential solution, or another nice one and likely one is, as a user, I want to be able to favorite, shortlist some of the loot items because there are like 22. Maybe more people will be going in and submitting new ones. Maybe there will be hundreds, thousands, but for my campaign, I only want 3. So I want, as a user, to be able to click a button and shortlist a few, see them and work with them in my campaign. So essentially a many-to-many relationship. Many users can have many favorite loot items. That's what we could be implementing next. 3 possible things for the future. Let me know anything you may want. That's gonna be it for today. Thanks everyone for watching and passing time with me, especially the people in the chat. Always appreciate your company. I hope you have lovely Friday evenings and an amazing weekend, and I'll see you Tuesday. Bye bye.